Actually, I'm not going to speak about consumers because where's he gone? There was someone from the soft drink industry. I don't know where he's gone, but he rightly pointed out that today is World Refill Day. So I've chosen to change the focus completely, and I'm going to speak to you about reuse, which was already touched on in the previous session. And there's a hashtag World Refill Day that you can use as well. So I thought I'd actually try and tell you 3 stories because we were told we weren't allowed any notes, we weren't allowed any slides. We had to do some storytelling, so I'm going to try and tell 3 stories, and they link quite well with what we were talking about earlier. So the first story is about my experiences in a packaging-free shop, and occasionally, so I'm a member of a food co-op, and occasionally I work in the shop actually. And I've made some observations because they have a really good section with bulk foods. They have rice, coffee, cereal, muesli, if you're into that. But the rice is really good, 8 different varieties of rice. But from working in the shop, I started to understand how it actually works and also made some observations. So normally the rice comes in very big sacks. They're usually in plastic, and these are used to refill the dispensers, and then people fill up their whatever they're using. I'll come on to that in a second to buy their rice. And I've noticed that there's 3 kinds of people. There's the very organized people who bring their own bags, and I would say they're the best examples. They deserve a round of applause. Then there's the kind of middle group. They use the paper bags which the shop provides to fill up, and I'm not sure if that's better than buying the product in normal packaging. But then there's the worst case, and they're the people who are so worried about the paper packaging splitting that they use 3 paper bags to fill up their rice or their coffee or whatever it is. And I'm sure, we'll come onto LCA in a bit, but I'm sure that these are not a good example of reuse or packaging free. So maybe one of the questions is like, how do we move towards these kind of like very good people, very organized, they bring their own. I think it's like a good example of waste prevention. What can the policies do? It's a question to you because I don't have all the ideas. I'm hoping you do because you're the food industry. How can we bring forward these exemplary examples of waste prevention? The second story is actually, it was me this week. Is someone from the European Paper Packaging Alliance here? Anyone? No. Oh, that's a shame because they brought out their LCA study this week. And they've been communicating very well. I think they've spent a lot of money with Politico for this. So they've been communicating. They brought out an LCA to say reusable packaging. It's just not sustainable at all because they've shown, and I think it links to what you were saying earlier, that the washing and the distance of travelling and transporting the glasses actually has an impact. And I think at first when I saw this, I was like, oh no, this is not good because we're constantly campaigning saying we need more reuse. And when the commission see this study, they're probably going to reduce their ambition a bit. But actually, I think there's something really important we can learn from these studies that the food industry come out with. And it's clear that actually what we need to do is industrialize reuse and find a way to do things like washing, closing the loop, doing the pooling system in a very efficient way. And I think that's where you come in because that's where we need to move forward in the area of reuse. And I think there is always going to be that point where if you make the washing efficient enough, if you use the reusable article enough times, it's actually going to perform better than the single-use option. And that's what we need to work out and work together and find a way to make it work. And the last story actually comes from is someone working for a big German discount retailer here, maybe? No, maybe not. Okay. Anyway, they've gone. Okay. Okay, they're in another tent. That's okay. That doesn't matter. It's about bananas. So actually, so the German. I had a meeting with the German discounter. How long ago was this? This was actually right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I went to them. I said, "So, why aren't you guys doing anything about reuse?" And they said, "Well, you know what? We don't really care about reuse or single use. It doesn't matter for us. We just want to sell our products." And we want to sell them at a cheap price because that's what matters. And if we try to move into the reuse area, we're worried it's going to affect the price of our products. And he gave me the example of organic bananas because he said, look, we tried a while ago. We said we're going to move to only organic bananas in our store because we thought that would kind of set a good example. And we found that because we moved to organic bananas, that many people saw that the price went up and they went to our competitor. And since then, we're just like not really that convinced about making these big, bold moves into kind of the sustainability area. And we need something to happen all at the same time. And he said to me, the only way this is going to happen is if we're forced to do it at the same time as our competitors. And this, for me, seemed to say that the only way reuse in that retail environment was really going to happen in a serious way was if they were encouraged to do it in through the legislation. And I'd be interested to hear what you say in reaction to that. So these are my 3 points. I think the last point is a bit more about the business case. How can you make reuse work in a retail environment for everything from like the good example of the organic shop, which I mentioned at the beginning, all the way down to the German discount retailer. They're different examples and they work in very different ways and they have different business models. And also this issue of the LCA, like how can we optimize reuse so that it performs better than single use? And I think when you look at the numbers, there is always going to be a point where you use something enough times and it performs better. So these are my main points. And I think we have a lot of opportunity to do that now with the Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive. So looking forward to the good work of Maja, who spoke in the first part of the session. Thank you very much.